Welcome back, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate that. Today, let's talk about The Surge. The Surge is an interesting but flawed Souls-like game. It's interesting because The Surge offers a unique setting, a corporate dystopian industrial complex full of zombie robots and mechs. Things turn bad really quickly in this world. Aesthetically, it can be quite impressive. Unfortunately, the game doesn't capitalize on this setting with a great story. It starts promising enough. You play Warren, a disabled man who can't walk, and who starts working for this Creo company that makes these rigs so you can actually walk as Warren. But Creo takes the mechanized future of human beings a little bit too far, and, well, things turn bad quickly, as I said. Warren is mostly silent, and the characters he meets aren't very interesting at all, and the ending is very unsatisfying to say the least. Now, level design of this game is a mixed bag. All the levels are interconnected in a good way, and there are many shortcuts like in the Souls games and secret areas to be found, so that's a good thing, but most of the time is spent inside similar looking buildings that are basically mazes with crampy corridors. Because the game relies on the Souls-like stamina-based combat of blocking and dodging and hitting and stuff like that, the crampy corridors really work against the player. You can die here, not because you suck at the game, but because the level design is working against you, especially when the game has a nasty habit of throwing multiple enemies at you. And things are worsened by the auto-targeting that doesn't register at times. Again, with multiple enemies to fend off, it is a pain in the ass. Still, using the analog stick, you can target certain body parts and cut them off of enemies, which is a novel idea. I did like that quite a lot, and it looks very brutal. Also, you can use these body parts on Warren, so you can sort of equip him and dress him up with or armor parts. And as I said, the combat animations are quite brutal and quite amazing. It's very well done. Still, the controls are a little clumsy and imprecise. For instance, you cannot cancel a move, so once you have committed to a move, the game will execute it regardless. And things aren't helped by the camera that is all over the place, especially fighting bosses. Speaking of bosses, they are a little bit disappointing. Mostly big machines with similar movesets. There aren't too many of them as well. And bosses are recycled and they turn into regular enemies later on, which is a bit of a cheap shot, so to speak. It feels like there's only one way of dealing with these bosses, and that feels frigid. There's no room for experimentation or to turn the tide of the combat. Now, when things do come together, again, the combat does feel meaty and satisfying, but mostly because of the animations and the cutting off of armor parts, which is, again, a very good idea. Come to think of it, this game feels more like a hack and slash game rather than a Souls-like experience where you need to read the moves of your enemies quite well and learn about them and then use that knowledge against these enemies. So there you have it. The Surge is an interesting spin-off to the Souls formula because it sets itself apart from the usual crowd, but it also falls short in the execution. Moving on to The Surge 2, so keep looking out for the video coming up next. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.